Hi. So today I thought we'd have a little conversation about happiness. What is happiness? If any of you do have any questions while we're at it, just jump in and ask. I'm really happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm just going to wait there. I've got a couple of you on. So we're going to start off with how often have you just turned on and said to yourself, I just want to be happy? Or how often have you said to somebody else, I just want you to be happy? Sorry, I need to just make sure. Hi, Suma. So basically, I may stop. I've got to go. I just may stop once in a while. Hi, Gunti. To just keep going through to see if any of you have any questions. But let me just first start off. So, as I said, how often have you turned around and said, I just want to be happy? I just want you to be happy. But when we saying all of this, how often have we actually stopped to consider what is happiness? When you say, I want to be happy, what do you mean by happy? Happiness is really different for different people, and it's really important for you to understand what happiness is. Well, I think first I'd like to start off with one quick short thing to say what happiness is not, because many people believe that happiness is having fun at a party, or it's something new that you get, or it's a wonderful meal that you go for. These are all wonderful experiences to be cherished and cultivated, but this is not happiness. Okay. If there's a difference that you need to understand between pleasure, experiences, happiness. So there are when you go and you have a great meal, you think that's happiness, but the great meal is a great experience, and it's something you enjoy, you eventually digest, and it's gone. So it's there's a difference when you think about it when it comes to happiness and pleasure. The one thing we should remember is pleasure, it's fleeting. Okay, it gives us happiness for a short period of time. Now, if we constantly are having these joyful experiences, then our brain looks at it that, oh, if it's something which is constant, it's a routine. So it absolutely changes from something being, oh, I'm so excited, I'm like, lovely, this is pleasure. We have to distinguish what is pleasure, what is happiness. Pleasure, remember, is just something which is short and passes by. Happiness is something which is long term. Chasing pleasure is not happiness. That is something you must remember. Well, I came up with this idea today to do this about happiness because I read about a wonderful theory which I really wanted to share with you all. Okay, this is a theory. Basically, it's based on scientific discoveries about how the brain works on happiness theories. And it's a lovely acronym they have for that. It's called We Promise. So it's WE Promise. Okay. So what does We Promise stand for? I'm going to just say it one at a time. We Promise. So W. W stands for your well-being. Now, happiness is related to these 9 categories. We promise. W, well-being. Of course, your mind and body connections, what's happening with your physical body that are affecting your mood. And vice versa, what's happening around you, your overall well-being. That is W. E is for your environment. What are the external factors like food availability, freedom, weather, beauty, your home, safety? These are all things which, again, have a correlation to your happiness. The third one is V is finished with pleasure. Now, P, pleasure is temporary experiences, like we discussed earlier. It could be a great meal, it could be any experience which gives you lots of joy. But again, it's a fleeting experience. So that is something that you also remember. Pleasure. Relationships. Well, I think relationships are kind of a foundation of what makes us all human. And our relationships definitely affect our moods. That is something we really need to be aware of. O is outlook. Now, how did I do this wrong? Promise. Sorry, I thought I did something wrong. PRO. Promise. O, outlook. So outlook is how you approach the world. How curious are you about it? How are you? What's your what is that? How adventurous are you in your life? What are the plans you're making for your life? Now, M. M is having a purpose, a wisdom, to understand it, the meaning. All of this is something that affects your happiness. Then there's involvement. To be happy, you have to be engaged. You have to be involved in things that are happening. This is a part of your growth, of your happiness. Then there's, of course, success. Now, success could be success as a mother, success as a businesswoman, success in any aspect of your life which you're happy with. There is no specific term for success as such. Okay? And then there's the elasticity, which is, according to me, really important, something that I'm learning at this point. It's how you recover from any negative events that take place. Okay, so it's how you, for example, how your happiness depends on when something bad happens to you. Do you crash badly, and does it take a really long time for you to recover, or is it something that you're learning? Of course, the experiences and you learn from them, but do you learn to bounce back fast? So these WE promise, the We promise, is actually the 9 categories that cover the human needs in a big way. This is basically our thoughts and our feelings. So all of this is a part of our thoughts and feelings which affect our happiness. Happiness is when life fulfills our needs. What do you feel? Would any of you like to share with me what you feel happiness is? I think when you feel fulfilled. I think happiness is very different for each person, obviously. But happiness is also, it's dependent on it. Happiness for you and happiness for me are completely different. But there are certain things that we should all tap into to understand and to figure out what really happiness is, which is where one of the theories, which is We Promise, comes in and gives you some kind of clarity in, okay, let me see the happiness. According to me, honestly, I think the first thing about happiness, it comes from within. And this is where the We Promise comes in, because if you're happiness with your environment, you're happiness with what you're doing, you're happy with the way you are, you're not expecting things from others. Happiness is so personal, it's so within you that a lot of what you want it's fulfilled from within you. And that is where you're truly, truly happy. There's a lovely saying by Eleanor Roosevelt. She said, someone asked me what I regarded as the 3 most important requirements for happiness. Okay? She said her answer was a feeling that you have been honest with yourself and those around you. A feeling that you have done the best you could, both in your personal life and your work, and the ability to love others. I think that is so beautiful. I really think the fact that honesty is something which we haven't spoken about in happiness so far, but I think if you can be honest to yourself, as long as you're honest to yourself, you're a happy person. Gratitude is something that makes you happy. I mean, there are such amazing little things that you can incorporate into your daily life, which makes you a wonderfully happy person. So now, I want to ask you, it's your turn to find what brings happiness to you. What brings you joy? Wherever happiness resides, go there. But I'd love to hear from you. What resonated with you most? I'd love to hear with you where your joy lies. Leave a comment. Let me know. Let me know how you define happiness, what you feel about happiness. And please, if you enjoy this, share it with others. And I just saw a comment which I'm trying to get into. Hi, Jasmine. Hi, Milind. Hi, Chitra. Nice to have you here. If you're truly honest with yourself, you're happy. Absolutely. Because I think that is something I completely agree with. Honesty is a huge part of your happiness. So here goes. Have a wonderful weekend coming up, and we'll chat next week. And do love, like, and share. And I'd love to hear your comments about this too. Take care. Have a happy weekend. Bye.